Hi, my name is Greg Porter. I'm the president for EMS West for the board of directors. I'm sitting with Tom McElree as the executive director. This morning I had the opportunity to talk with Tom and review some of his career highlights as he prepares for retirement. So today I would like to talk about just a little bit of that history and do a quick wrap up on the conference, which is well into day 3 now with lots of great things happening. So Tom, how are you?
I'm great, Greg. Thank you.
Good. How'd you feel about this morning?
I have to say, first off, I was very surprised. Both the staff and my daughter, who was there, kept it a great secret. I didn't know it was coming. And I frankly was overwhelmed with, first off, some of the pictures. I don't even know where they came from, but the video tributes were incredibly emotional to me. These are people that I worked with for literally 30 years, and some that had become very good friends. And it was in a word, humbling. I was on the verge of tears, I think, and it was, I felt a little guilty, actually, because there were so many people that I've met over the years that deserve that level of recognition that never get it. And for me to get the recognition for simply doing a job that I love to do just didn't seem fair. But I truly was honored.
Well, that's great, and I'm glad it went well. And I think doing the job I love to do is the comment that caught me this morning. I relate to that, and I think that's a good segue into kind of your resume and your history. And I was interested to learn a number of things on there, but one in particular was the Acadian ambulance. Can you just walk me through your transition from Pennsylvania to Louisiana and all the things you did there?
Wow, we'd need a long time, but in the short version, I guess, I was originally working in Meadville Ambulance when I was in college, and here are a couple of fun facts that a lot of people don't know. Acadian Ambulance was started by a guy by the name of Richard Zuschlag, who's from Greenville in Mercer County, which is my hometown. Richard actually patterned a lot of Acadian Ambulance after Meadville Ambulance. And in fact, the stories back in the day, one of the reasons Acadian had green and white ambulances was because Meadville Ambulance had green and white ambulances. Their original subscription cards were patterned after Meadville Ambulance's original subscription cards. So we had a connection there. The man I worked for at Meadville Ambulance knew Richard, had worked with him, and so it was a pretty easy transition for me to go to work at Acadian. And what was really dramatic to me, in Pennsylvania, we have ambulance services in every community practically. Just for example, Allegheny County alone, we had, 30, 40, 50 ambulance services. So when I went to Louisiana, there was one ambulance service that covered, at the time, a third of the state. And I was absolutely overwhelmed. I just didn't understand how an organization could be that organized and that well run to be able to manage that. But I'll tell you, it was an outstanding experience, one that I don't think I could have replicated anywhere. Fabulous people. I went there as an EMT in 1981. The first year I went through their intermediate training program. The second year I went through the paramedic training program. And then I moved from one of the outlying areas, a town called Houma in Terrebonne Parish, which is kind of on the eastern side of Acadian's service area, and I moved to the city of Lafayette, which is, I think, about 150,000 people or so. But Lafayette is where the hub of the main headquarters was. Their maintenance shop was there, their education center was there, that's where their communications center was. And I was very, very fortunate. I got paired with some fabulous partners. I started out on what they called Unit 1 at the time. Just before I got there, it had been Squad 1, and they ran a 3-person crew. Because of staffing issues, they changed it, and we went back to a 2-person crew. I was partnered with a wonderful paramedic who taught me incredible things over many years. And just the ability to interact with so many people. And at the time, I would say 75 or 80% of the people were from the Louisiana area, but we had a lot. When I first went to Homa, one of the paramedics that was there was from Pennsylvania. And in fact, in later years, there were two more paramedics from Pennsylvania that went there. So we had a great cross-section of people. Aside from the really, really great paramedics and EMTs and intermediates that I had a chance to learn from, they also had a variety of work options. You could work, if you want to work a busy station, you work the Lafayette headquarters. You work on one of the busy units. If you want a daylight unit, you could do that. If you want the vacation station, they had a couple of those that you could opt for and kind of bid around. And they had a neat group that I got teamed up with eventually. They called them the swing staff. And these were folks who were willing to be on call, and at a moment's notice, they would drive to whatever station had a call off. So you could have to drive an hour, hour and a half, first thing in the morning to get to a station. But what that did is that gave me the opportunity. I want to say at the time they had 26 parishes. And I worked in every single one of those stations at some point in time, some more than others. But you work with different people, you meet different people. And I'll just say this about Southern Louisiana, they are truly some of the finest people that I'd ever met. I mean, the not just the EMS people, but the folks that lived there. They were truly wonderful, warm, welcoming people. And we just don't see that as much in the North. And I think that I was very, very struck by that. It made it very hard to leave.
How long were you there?
On and off over 13 years. And one of the most fun things I did when I was there, I got assigned to their AirMed helicopter program, which was state of the art. I don't know that they were the first in the nation, but they were certainly leaders. And there were three of us at the time that worked rotating shifts. You worked 24 hours on a helicopter, you worked 24 hours on call for fixed wing flights, and then you were off for 24 hours. We had ex-military pilots. Petroleum Helicopters was the company that made the helicopters. And what was really neat about that, the area Acadian served was so rural that very often the helicopter would get dispatched at the same time as the ground ambulance. And very often the helicopter would get there first. And you can imagine the look on people's faces when you land a helicopter in their backyard. But it really gave you an opportunity to do different things. They had training programs. They had offshore oil rigs that they staffed. They had onshore oil rigs that they staffed. There were just so many opportunities. The communication center, I spent a couple of years there. And when I left there, I was one of 3 education coordinators and just worked with fabulous people. Just really, really well-run organization, really organized, really, at the time, really, really took care of their people. And that made it very hard to leave.
I think that's a credit to that organization, and it clearly made an impact on you that was lasting. Mm-hmm. So, next, it seems like you transitioned from Acadian into a little bit of healthcare administration and law school. And what struck me about your history when I was reading through that today is your time with functioning as an actual attorney seems to be much less than your time in healthcare. And it would seem to me, as bright as you are and as educated as you are, that you could have made an awful lot of money being an attorney. What made you pick healthcare?
A couple of the speakers have said this. Once it gets into you, you never lose it. And so starting in EMS, spending so many years originally in EMS, I went to graduate school at what is now the University of Lafayette, Louisiana, also known as ULala. And then I went to law school at LSU. It was at a time in my life where I just wasn't really sure where I was going to go. I'd been on ambulances for, at that point, man, I don't know, 15 or so years, and just sort of wanted something more. So I did 2 years at LSU, and then I did my last year at University of Pittsburgh because I wanted to come back to Pennsylvania for family reasons. I was very fortunate to get a job with one of the top 3 law firms in Pittsburgh and worked there for about 8 years, and then a couple years at another law firm in downtown Pittsburgh, which just coincidentally happened to be the lawyers for EMSI. And over a period of time, I spent more and more time at EMSI and with the EMSI board members, and with a lot, I was representing a lot of the ambulance services in the area, and it sort of brought me back to what do I really want to do? You know, do I really want to be a lawyer after 10 years of working in private law firms, or do I really want to go back into EMS? And I got to tell you, yeah, I probably could have, you know, done better financially, but the fact is, that's not really what I love to do. And so I came back in an administrative role, although you know, throughout that whole period, I'd been volunteering with Baldwin Ambulance in the South Hills. Learned a great deal. Those people, you know, great, you know, the folks from Baldwin, really, really great folks. And coming back, being able to work in an administrative role, working with all of these EMS agencies that I'd worked with for years as a lawyer. And at the time, Joe Schmieder was the state EMS director. Joe's now the director of the state of Texas. And Marty Ranowski was our deputy secretary. Marty actually came this morning. And I'll tell you, those guys gave EMS so much support. We moved further in 10 years in Pennsylvania than I think we have in the last 40. And so it was a really, really great system, great people to work with, a lot of opportunities, and the chance to really, EMSI was kind of struggling at the time, and the chance to turn an organization around, build a staff of really, really great people, and at the same time do what I really enjoy doing, which is helping people take care of people. And that's really what EMS is all about.
So 21 years at EMSI/EMS West, lots of ups and downs, lots of different people you've worked with.
Yeah.
What would you say you're most proud of?
So interesting. There really is it does kind of run together. But there was one opportunity that I was given that I just awed me more than anything else. Back in 2016, I had the opportunity to go to Arlington, Virginia, and present American flags to the families of EMS providers who had died in the line of duty the year before. That year, we had 32 families nationwide. For an hour and a half, I stood on stage, and family after family would come up and to, well, kind of emotional. It really, handing them a flag saying, this is in remembrance of your loved one who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Wow. Powerful.
It is powerful. And it makes me think how fortunate we are, both you at EMS West and me at Ross Westview, to support those programs and allow our people to go do those things and have those experiences. So, and thank you for sharing that. I know that's tough.
Yeah, even thinking about it, it was hard at the time, but thinking about it is still, you know, for those who might watch this, if you've never been to the National EMS Memorial, you gotta go, at least once.
So transitioning into this weekend, this is the 38th annual EMS update. Record numbers, tons of classes, amazing speakers. Seems like everybody's really having a great time.
Yeah.
How would you summarize the last few days and going into tomorrow?
Well, you know, this conference has grown tremendously, not because of me, but during my tenure, and we went from what might have been described as something of a frat party to a true, true, you lived those years, a true education conference. And we had, I think, 80 classes over a 3-day period, wonderful instructors, many physicians who donate their time to come here and teach, an hour, hour and a half at a time. We had 2 great keynote speakers, Donnie Woodyard and Dr. Ben Abo from Florida. Those, I got the numbers. Both of those had more than 300 people in attendance for those sessions. We have 700, and I think it's 50 something, 752 maybe, students, attendees who are attending classes. That's the biggest number we've ever had. We have 50 vendors here in the exhibition hall, which is kind of wrapping up behind us. I think there was a lot of activity, a lot of enthusiasm. People seem to be genuinely happy to be here. And the caliber of classes I really think is second to none. Even through COVID, we missed the COVID year. We did it virtually, but we have historically been the largest in-person EMS conference in Pennsylvania for 38 years. And that's a tribute to the staff in particular. Joe Ponko has done a fabulous job over the years of, this is his 34th year. And Brian Shaw, who is soon to be the new director, was instrumental in putting so many of these things together, some of the classes, the events, the AV, things like that. It really is a team effort. Every one of our staff is here. They help to introduce the speakers. They help with the continuing education. I don't know what the number is for this year, but historically, we give out literally thousands of hours of continuing education over the course of this 3-day event. I'm always a little nervous when it starts. I'm always relieved when it ends. But I think for me, this is my last year where I will be here as the director. And it's kind of surreal. People keep saying, am I going to come back next year? Well, if I come back next year, I'm coming back to sit in the classes.
Yeah.
I really want to enjoy the benefits that this conference has to offer. And I think this is a great venue, the Vail Resort, Seven Springs Resort, ski resort. And I think this has worked out very well for us for a lot of years. It's been a great experience. I will miss many parts of it. A couple parts I might not, but that's part of the job. I'm really looking forward to where EMS West is going to go next. And you as board president, you're going to have an opportunity to help steer that. And with Brian, with his enthusiasm and his IT skills, which I sort of lack, I think we're on the verge in this age of AI of really heading off in a new direction. I'm really anxious to see where that's going to go.
As my schedule's awful busy up here, from meeting to meeting and event to event, but I did take the time to sit in several classes over the last couple of days, and I'm so impressed with the speakers and so impressed with the message. And as I leave here, I'm motivated. I feel like, at the beginning of my EMS career, and I want to go back and do all the things I learned and take care of patients. And my last question would be, what would be your message to folks that are leaving the conference or just getting into EMS? How do you maintain that excitement, that desire to help, that, how do you take it and put it to your fingertips?
Wow. I think surrounding yourself with great people is vitally important. I've worked in a couple of situations where I just didn't like the people I worked with. And that makes it really hard to go to work. I think it's important to be in a good, positive work situation, have really great partners, people you work with. I think the thing that I worry about, going to twist your question just a little bit, I worry about the people that are adversely affected by what we do. It's a hard job. And I know that we both know some folks we've lost through suicide and line of duty death and some other things. It's an unforgiving job. And so I guess my message, even to the newest people, would be when you get to the point, which you will, where you feel overwhelmed, where you feel like things are spinning out of control, talk to somebody, take a breath, get help. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need to push back for a minute. I need a break. I need to step away just for a minute, if that'll protect your sanity going forward. So I think as much as I love this career, this business, taking care of patients, I also recognize that it can take its toll.
Yeah.
And I really want those who are doing the hard work to know that they have a support system.
And I don't think you could have said that any better, and I agree 100% with that. The last class I sat through was specifically addressing PTSD and EMS and the things that we see and do. And the converse to that is, everything you said I agree with, but the converse to that is we get to turn that into a positive because we see things and we know how shallow is not the right word, how fragile life is. And you need to focus on every day and enjoy it. And you know, in some ways, as traumatic as that can be, it's also a blessing. And I think it's how we spin that. So as we think about that blessing and we're focusing on every day and you've had this wonderful career, what are you going to do now?
Well, I have a fairly new granddaughter who's 15 months. Both of my daughters are pregnant right now. This summer we're expecting 2 more grandchildren. So I think there will be a lot of family time, a lot. You know, we chatted once before, and you know, I remember when my kids were born. I remember when they graduated from high school or college. There's a whole lot of things in between that I don't remember. It's not that I wasn't there. I was there, but I was so preoccupied with so many other things that I didn't really pay attention. So now I'm at the point where I really want to be able to pay attention and remember those things. So that's number one. Number two is take a step back, take a breath. It's my time to take a break. Do some hunting, do some boating. Just take some time away to refocus, and I'm really looking forward to that. So many people, especially that we know, for some reason in this business, in emergency services, they work their entire life and they retire, and 2 weeks later they pass away. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So I really want to take time to kind of reflect on where I've gone, where I've been, and what the future holds for my young family, and what can I do for them.
That was a great answer, and I want all those things for you, and I know everybody else here does too. So I think we're pretty far over on time. We were talking about 10 or 15 minutes, and I think we're pushing 30. So that's probably a good spot to end. But thank you very much for taking the time, and thank you for your sincerity, and thank you for all you've done for EMS.
Well, thank you. You've been a great president, great friend.